really brutal fight scene in the middle of that. Just, I don't know. I'm glad that they changed that.
And also, I think didn't it sound so Seann William Scott's a much bigger, like more muscular dude than Paul Rudd was. So just having the big Seann, having the big Seann William Scott just womp on Paul Rudd.
It's on par with if you had a scene where it's like, say for instance, Jack Nicholson fighting The Rock.
Yeah.
Just like it would be like, come on now, why would you do that?
The cheeky wrestling's much better because they're not punching each other. They're kind of having a brother wrestle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And these two guys care about each other too.
I mean, like, so Paul, I remember in they reshot that party scene too, where Elizabeth Banks wants to sing karaoke, Paul Rudd doesn't. And you bring in Yorma Taccone as one of the extras. I thought that was pretty funny from Lonely Island. He's like, oh, we're best friends. Like, we're going to live the rest of our lives together. Seann Williams, it's a very much a one-way friendship. So, I don't know, Wheeler's got to realize that, right?
Yeah, and I think he does after Beth leaves him, is that he realizes that his life really isn't going anywhere. And although to him it's an okay cushion for right now, with Beth, she's thinking more about the future, that you're 35, looking back on it, what really are you going towards? What is your goal? And if his goal is, well, I'm doing Minotaur is not an end. So she's telling him to grow up, basically. And if it comes to, I mean, it's almost like a sealing the deal moment whenever he doesn't realize that Venti is actually 20. So it's like, how do you not know that?
Yeah, he's just given up at that point. That's a good scene, though. I don't know why, but that scene has always stuck with me. I think because I like coffee, and I also like it when jerks get called out. So like most of the internet, they just make a comment and you're like, no man, that's not right.
Yeah, it really does. It adds another layer to it, because I think everybody at a point was thinking, why do they call it Venti? Why don't they just call it, small or medium? Why do we have to go through all these different words? And it's like, oh, that's the reason why. It makes complete practical sense.
Now, Chris Kelly, the Movies, Films, and Flicks crew, all the people in Movies, Films, and Flicks, we start a layer group based on all of the episodes that we've covered. So, I mean, we're almost at 300. We might be over 300 when this is released. What do you think would be our theme in a layer match? So, Movies, Films, and Flicks, what would be our theme? I'll let you pick
Sharks.
Sharks. Ooh.
Sharks. Without a doubt. That's my money on Sharks. I'm a big fan of shark movies, and I'm a big fan of the Movies, Films, and Flicks shark movies as well. Because I think one of my personal favorite episodes was whenever you did a commentary for Deep Blue Sea.
Oh gosh, and it was so bad. Oh man, I was flop sweating during that one.
Oh, it's so much fun.
You just gotta I took myself out of my comfort zone and just did it. And that's how you gotta do it, man. So what would be the Sharks from, let's say, what would be the Sharks from Any Given Sunday? Because there's that football. Would be the Sharks from West Side Story? Would we, would we dress like Quint? What would our shark theme be?
I think you would have various different people from various different shark films. Like, again, obviously you would have the Quint character. You would have somebody from 47 Meters Down. I'd say you would have probably someone dressed as LL Cool J's character from Deep Blue Sea. Somebody missing an arm.
This sounds amazing. From Shark Night?
From Shark Night. I was also going with Deep Blue Sea.
Oh, yeah. Jim Whitlock.
We'll do Shark Night. We'll do that, too.
There's a lot of arms getting lost in these movies.
That's always growing up, I had thought that losing an arm to a shark was a lot more of a threat than what it was now that I'm an adult.
It happens so much.
It really, like quicksand.
Could we ride?
Every movie had quicksand.
Could we ride a banana boat in the battle?
That doesn't make a lot of logical sense as far as sharks go, but I'll let it happen.
Jaws Revenge.
They have a banana boat?
Yeah, remember the shark goes to kill the daughter, but it misses and it wipes out that lady on the banana boat instead? Because the shark is tracking the family down, and the shark has bad aim, and the poor lady gets chomped on a banana boat.
Oh, no. It's been so long since I've seen Jaws: The Revenge. I smell a new episode coming up.
I'm in. Shoot. Well, we're going to do the American Pie franchise, right? Then we can jump into Jaws.
Absolutely. Oh, my gosh, yes.
The first Jaws is too good, so we shouldn't talk about that. We can maybe do 3 and 4.
It's been done to death, too. I mean, that's always a point that I like to stress with people is like, I've always been asked, well, let's do an episode on the Lord of the Rings. And it's like, man, those have been done to death. If you don't know those movies by now, I mean, go rent and go to Videodrome, pick out a couple.
I know you have tons of any other thing that you have about role models. Any more data you got for them? Oh yeah, let's hear it.
As we said, the movie was very well liked. Generally, audiences and people. IMDb gets a 6.8. The Metascore is 61. Good. which is great.
Yeah, I know. It's all, so basically above the board, it's all over 6.
Oh, yeah. Rotten Tomatoes, it's certified fresh, coming in at 77%. The audience has it at 74%. The director, David Wain, he has a long history of comedy. He comes from a long line of his background comes from working with The State, which if you don't remember what The State is, that was more of an early 90s to late 2000s TV sketch show, which basically what they called themselves was it was like Saturday Night Live, but with more elaborate production.
Yeah.
They would do various different skits. And that's literally where all of this began with David Wain. He was a student at NYU. And then after graduating, he thought, you know what? I want to take the party past college. And he basically took all of his buddies that he met while he was at the State in college, including Michael Ian Black, Carrie Kinney, and Joe Lo Truglio, Thomas Lennon, and made a show with various other folks called The State. And they did this for, almost 20 years, if you want to look at it like that. While he was doing that, he also created Wet Hot American Summer, worked for Mad TV, and then went on to do Children's Hospital, all with all of his friends that he had met while he was in college. So he really just kind of took everything that he had done and loved while he was in his teens to 20s and just moved it on into his adult, which I think it's kind of cool. This movie had about like 5 different writers on it. A lot of the different characters, the people who were involved with that, they encouraged the improv. So that's the reason why you got more writers on this. Ken Marino, for instance, he was considered the on-set writer. So a lot of the times when they would come up with a different line, Ken Marino was the one saying, okay, now try it like this. Okay, now try it like that. Try it like this. So that's the reason why he got the writing credit. You may remember Ken Marino more famously from a lot of his day playing roles. He was supporting in just about everything.
Veronica Mars.
He was in a ton of stuff. I remember him specifically from The Babysitter, and he is currently doing The Babysitter 2.
Oh, man. I love that movie.
Oh, it's such a great film too, and it's exactly what you would expect it to be, which was it's so refreshing whenever you're like, I really hope this movie is like this, and then it is. I love it. It's either that or it turns it on its head and it gives me something better than what I was expecting.
It captures its tone. Its tone almost immediately. And I think that's really hard to do. But it's one of those movies that you're almost immediately on its wavelength. And I kind of dig that about it.
And I'm always a big fan of movies that explore things that you aren't really expecting, especially with Babysitter. Satanism. How the crap did we come up with that?
Really bloody Satanism.
It's so ridiculous because you're like, wait, what the hell?
And Samara Weaving, she's really good in that.
Yeah, everybody's dynamite in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
The producers, just a couple of them just to give a little bit of credibility to, Andrew Z. Davis, who was one of the main producers on this. He mainly had a background in action movies, which is the reason why we have such great action scenes in this movie. Not only did it fall greatly on the stunt coordinator, but the producer as well did movies such as House 2, Volcano, Enemy of the State, Rush Hour 2 and 3, then went on to do this movie, then did Repo Men, In Time. And what I found was most interesting was his very first thing that he had ever done in film was he was a locations manager on Girls Just Want to Have Fun, that dance comedy from 1985 starring Sarah Jessica.
Wow.
So, that is some seriously cool stuff. The other producer on this, Dan Colesrud, it was the first AD on Xanadu, Top Gun, Howard the Duck, The Goonies, and Spaceballs before he eventually moved into producing.
Wow.
Mary Parent, who was another producer, most famously in recent times has an Oscar nomination for The Revenant. And she, before doing this movie, she did Pleasantville, and which we all can say that we love that film. That movie just has so many different things going on in it. It's just a beautiful film in itself. She then went on to do the 2014 Godzilla, Kong Skull Island. She's currently doing Godzilla King of the Monsters. Oh, sorry. She did Godzilla King of the Monsters. Currently doing Kong versus Godzilla, the long-awaited, very supposedly a little bit closer to the original source version of Dune.
Oh man, with Denis Villeneuve.
And oh gosh, who's the other guy? What is it? Jason Momoa, I believe, right?
Yeah. So yeah, Villeneuve's directing, and it has the kid from Call Me by Your Name. Oh man, and Little Women.
That's going to be a dynamite movie. Me personally, I wasn't a big fan of Dune, mainly because I just didn't get it. But I also saw it whenever I was in my 20s. I did grow up with people who were massive fans of Dune, and one of my friends I work with frequently is a huge fan of Dune, so much so he does his own fan drawings of. So he told me that this one is probably going to be the one to watch. The cinematographer also, Russ T. Alonso Brook, big into comedy as well, starting out way back in the day. But some of his credits include the sequel to Encino Man, Encino Woman. And then after doing that, he teamed up with the Judd Apatow people with Freaks and Geeks. Then he went on to do Undeclared. He did Superbad, this movie, and then went on to do Paul Blart and Blockers, which if you haven't seen those movies, I strongly recommend checking them out.
Well, they're all hits. Paul Blart was a hit. Blockers was a surprise hit. Forgetting Sarah Marshall was a hit. Superbad was a hit. I mean, these movies, I think, Chris, sorry, I forgot to bring this up to you, man. Sorry to interrupt. He knows how to film comedy. He knows how to get both eyes in a joke. He knows how to frame the joke to where, I'm not going to say with this comedy, he's not trying to go for a Roger Deakins-esque look. He just wants to capture both eyes and capture the joke. And I think his track record in comedy is really solid because he understands the joke first. And I think he nails that.
Yes, and I think that's what you need on a movie like this, is that you need to have a cinematographer that understands that no one's watching this movie for its wonderful shots. Although there are some cool shots in this, especially when he's capturing the lair fighting scenes. No one's watching it for the sunrise scenes. No one's going to be looking for the artistic value. They're here to have a good time, and they're here to have a good laugh. So you need to have somebody who understands that. And in my opinion, he does. I mean, Russ definitely understands that comedy is the thing that's selling this movie, and that you can see it with his track record, especially with Superbad and moving on forward. Blockers, I thought, was a great film, and I don't really remember too many people talking about it that much. And I thought that it was just a great idea. John Cena playing like the suburban dad. That's hilarious.
And they got him butt chugging.
I mean, you need to have a crowd that understands this, which is just so funny.
Mm-hmm. No,
some great.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say some great little hints in the movie. Augie originally was not supposed to have glasses because McLovin had glasses, and David said that he didn't want to have anybody associating McLovin to this character, so he wrote him without glasses. However, Christopher Mintz-Plasse never bought contacts, and production said that they weren't going to buy him contacts for this movie. So he said, all right, fine, he's got glasses now. After production was over, Christopher went out and got LASIK eye surgery. So when they went to go do reshoots, they had to buy him a brand new pair of glasses that had the frames in them without prescription. So he said it would have been cheaper just to buy the contacts.
Yeah, that's funny. Wow. It's amazing what people won't pay for on movies. There is this weird line where, okay, we need this and it costs this. Okay, but we also need some rubber bands. No. Wait, what? We need an espresso machine. Yes. We need glasses. No. It's an interesting thing that they don't want to spend money on some of these sets.
It really is. It's like it costs $1 extra to buy chilled water, but it costs $3 to buy the bag of ice. So you buy the chilled water as opposed to the ice, but the water's going to get warmer faster without the ice. It makes no sense. It's like, wait, what?
Oh man, or just haven't some productions recently tried to give their staff water bottles and then fill up as opposed to wasting all the plastic?
They have, and I'm actually a big supporter of that, to be honest with you. I like that because they're just coming from somebody who's works in production and I've worked locations. Nothing makes you more angry than seeing all these water bottles sitting everywhere and somebody literally just opened it up, took a drink, put it down, and then they get called to go do something, which that happens all the time where you really have to put your stuff down, and then you'll always see like food or you'll see water bottles, but you'll see that and then you'll usually wait for about 1 or 2 hours and then come back to it and it's still sitting there and you're like, dang it, that guy didn't, or that person never came back to get that water bottle. And you're like, so that's a wasted water bottle. It's a wasted thing of water. And if you want to look at it, if you buy a whole case of water, that's $3 for a case of 24 from Walmart, that's money that's wasting right there. And if you think about it collectively, you're wasting sometimes $20, $30, $40 just on this.
And that plastic doesn't get recycled.
Exactly. And it doesn't, it gets thrown away. And you're like, this could have been used. You know what could have saved us a ton of money is if we bought these 5-gallon water jugs and then we had individual water bottles that we spent $5 each on, and we could have just had people filling them up, and that would have saved tons of money because no one's going to just leave their water bottle lying around because it's theirs, and that's just how it works. But it just drives me nuts.
I'm with you, man. So much waste goes on these sets. they talk about like, yeah, we gotta, like, it's a very, they want to portray this very liberal-esque thing, but then they're just wasting thousands of dollars of plastic and food and, and everything. Like, it's like,
yeah.
yeah, it goes against a lot.
I really applaud the ones that do the water